Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another very exciting episode of Two Sons Podcast. Yes, you heard that right. We are back. We are back. What a wonderful day it is just to be alive. And another wonderful episode of Two Sons Podcast we have for you. This marks the first official Two Sons Podcast episode of the new year of 2024. Obviously, you guys got a little bit of a treat last week with a nice little solo episode from your boy Truly. But this is going to be the first official episode with both me and my hermano across the screen, discussing all things that are just things, and ringing in the new year with a bang. So we kind of got like a nice, chill, laid back episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about a couple of different topics here and there. So really no theme to it, but overall it's going to be a pretty nice, relaxing episode. So just, buckle up, take a seat, whatever you're doing, and relax and enjoy the show. But yes, we are both doing really good. My hermano across the screen is ready and able to bring you guys another wonderful episode of Two Sons Podcast. The boys are back in town. Yes, the boys are back in town. That is right. You've heard it here first. Yeah, it is it's great to be back. Great to bring in this another fantastic new year of Two Sons Podcast. I was telling our wonderful listeners last week that hopefully this is the start of a nice, bright, and prosperous future for Two Sons Podcast and for the rest of the year. We got a lot of cool episodes eventually lined up. We got our whole Star Wars deep dive that we're going to be doing eventually with the movies and stuff like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure there'll be more content to talk about as the year goes on. Doesn't seem like it'll be very heavy for movies. I mean, I think there'll be some prominent movies that come out this year, but not, some of the heavy hitters that we saw last year. So it might be a little bit more of like a mild year, which will give us a chance to maybe go back and cover some of the topics that we haven't covered, because there are plenty of shows and movies that we haven't even touched the surface of yet that we've watched and we just haven't talked about. So it gives us a lot of leeway to kind of like, make our own content and do our own thing. But yeah, without further ado, like I said, thank you guys for coming back to another wonderful episode of Two Sons Podcast, kicking off the new year on the right foot. Obviously, I am Philip, the person that is talking that you see on the screen. Hey, how you doing? Doing good? Pretty good? Nice? Good? Okay. The wonderful human across the screen or on YouTube, he will be to the left or right of me, depending on where they put us. That is the one, the only, my younger brother by 2 years, the one and only Joseph Karuba. Everybody, round of applause for the man making his return.
Hello there, everybody.
Joey,
Great
it is a pleasure to have you back, my friend, on the podcast. We missed you last week, but obviously stuff happens. We're both busy men. Completely understand. You had your hands full. Obviously, you're in a whole new setting that I'm sure you're going to tell us about in a couple of minutes. Hey, look, that bee is looking kind of suspicious back there. I don't know what he's doing, but he's kind of
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah. Hey, come in peace. Come in peace.
I got it under control.
Yeah.
I got like Bulbasaur in the corner, like he's
Yeah,
chilling,
yeah,
like big chill. Spider-Man back there somewhere.
Yeah.
We're
But
good.
Joey, it is great to have you back for another
Thank
wonderful
you.
episode of our podcast. So without further ado, I'm gonna let you tell the people how you're doing, what you've been up to, and getting more into this episode here.
Oh, alrighty. Well, what a way to start. Is that iced tea? Or is
Mhm.
that some root beer? Iced tea. Look at that. Got it on the first try. All right, everybody. Just want to say I'm grateful and I'm very happy to be back. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. I hope you guys all celebrated, whether you slept or not. I literally had a headache up until the new year. I celebrated. I did my grapes. I ran around with a backpack on, and I did a couple other things in hopes of what I want to achieve for the new year. So very fun, very excited to get it started. Hopefully you guys made some resolutions, or maybe there's just stuff you want to change. But you know what? It's a new year, new everybody. Can you believe that it's 2024? It feels very weird, especially considering that now like the pandemic is like 4 years behind us, which is kind of crazy. And like I graduated like 5 years ago from high school. You graduated like 8 or something like that.
Like
Uh,
seven
you know,
years.
yeah, so it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary. But you know what? It's a new year, new time for more stuff. As you guys can see, new surroundings. I am moved into an apartment. It's nothing crazy big, but it's perfect for me. I love it. I will give you guys a tour later on, not later on like now, but like later on in the year and the month probably. I'm just waiting to get some more things. You can't really see what's back there, but there will be a lot more stuff on the walls as of a couple of weeks or so. So give me some time, and I'll definitely show you guys it. I'm sure our viewers would appreciate all the memorabilia and stuff I could show off that I do have, that I'm very excited to show. Um, just want to say that yes, me and my brother's schedules have not lined up always. I've been sick pretty much for like the past couple of weeks anyway. I'm trying to shake a couple of things. Been very busy. Even though I don't have school right now, I've been completing a couple of things. Been updating resumes. Been doing a lot of growing up big boy stuff. But I'm glad I've got it done. I'm glad I'm on the right track and everything. And I'm just glad to be back. I wish we could have closed out an episode of 2023, but we can still always talk about 2023. It's not going anywhere. It's gone, so it's still there in a way. Like even though like the year has moved on, it's not gone, so to say. But yeah, we'll talk about it. Actually, we'll talk about it. A lot of interesting things though going on now that 2023 has ended. We have a lot of award ceremonies to look forward to. I don't know if any of you have been keeping up with that, but the Golden Globes, probably one of the biggest ones, have just passed. It went viral for the host. What was his name? Joe Coy, something like that. Um, you know, dude's got to work on his stand up for
Didn't
sure.
he like make a very maybe not smartly advised comment about Barbie?
Yeah. So, speaking of Barbie, first of all, look at this lovely mug. Look at that. God dang light. God, get out of here, light. Get. See that says. Look at that. Ah, there it is. Ken. Beautiful. What a beautiful. And I have a Barbie mug to go with it too. It was a set because you can't have Barbie without Ken. You can't have Ken without Barbie. Um, I just want to say I did actually watch Barbie over the weekend. I absolutely loved it. Actually, I thought it was just a fun movie to watch, and I could definitely tell it had strong messages in it that don't apply to me, but it does apply to the young girls out there and the older women and stuff. And honestly, it was really nice to see that in this film, and I can understand why it was so popular. And I'm glad that people got to see and enjoy that. And unfortunately, Joe Coy, I believe was his name. Did kind of take that away. I get, comedians make jokes and stuff, but the movie isn't just about a doll. It is obviously centered around Barbie and this, plastic doll that everybody grew up with, but it does have very strong messages behind it for Ken and for Barbie. And I feel like he took that away with that. It's just, a stupid joke in my opinion. And I think he didn't land it. There was definitely a lot of other comedians that did land jokes appropriately about the films out there, and it happens every year. So I mean, whatever. It's in the past behind it, but that's why the Golden Globes was kind of going a little viral, even though there was a lot of big winners. I know Oppenheimer was a big winner. They won a lot. Barbie won a couple of things. The Boy and the Heron. What's his name? Miyazaki, I believe, is the um, famous producer, like behind Studio Ghibli, or the famous director, creator.
Mm-hmm.
He won his first Golden Globe because I believe they won Best Animated Picture.
Yeah,
And
I heard that was like a phenomenal film that came out for Studio Ghibli this year.
yeah, and
I mean,
actually,
Robert Pattinson was the voice of the Heron, I believe, in
yeah,
the
I
English
actually
dub.
heard a lot of clips from it, and it sounded really good voice acting wise. I was
Yeah,
very
I'm
surprised
hoping it
about
comes
Robert
out on
Pattinson.
Max because they have a whole Studio Ghibli collection on Max. So I hope it comes out on Max.
I will tell you, there was a lot of like Suzume was also nominated, and another
Suzume, that was a
animated.
great film. If you have a
Um,
chance to ever watch that, it's on Crunchyroll. I saw that in the theaters. It was a great film. I loved it.
Yeah, honestly, the animated category was very different this year because TMNT got nominated too. Of course, Into the Spider-Verse. There was a Netflix movie. I forgot it was popular when it came out. I don't really remember what it's called. And I think um, Elemental was in there too, Pixar's film. So you got a couple of things. Speaking of Pixar, actually Soul is back in theaters, I believe this weekend. So check that out, guys. It was a beautiful movie that came out during the pandemic. It's been on Disney Plus since it's came out, 3 years ago, whatever. But honestly, it deserves to be seen on the big screen. But yes, Oppenheimer was pretty much the big winner. I expect Cillian Murphy to win probably Best Actor this year. I see Robert Downey Jr. definitely getting Best Supporting Actor. Best Female Actress is probably going to go to Emma Stone for her role in Poor Things, or I might even no, I think she's supporting actress. The woman from Killers of the Flower Moon with Robert De Niro, she won. She was actually the first Indigenous woman to win whatever award she got. I don't want to give you guys false information. Check out the list. But there was a lot of highs and lows for the Golden Globes, and another award ceremony just happened. But I believe the Oscars are right around the corner. So I'm definitely looking forward to that and seeing like what wins Best Picture and stuff. But I have a feeling we're going to see Oppenheimer win a lot of landslides this year. And speaking of Oppenheimer, that actually comes out on I think Peacock like next weekend, the 18th or something like that.
Yeah, it
So
was a phenomenal film. If you haven't had a chance to go see it, it was absolutely breathtaking.
I think it's actually going back in theaters as well too. I know a lot of films are actually going back in theaters for like a week or a weekend. I honestly expect to see a lot of that in 2024 before the big hitters kind of start. I think March is a big month for 2024 with a lot of like new things coming out. There's at least like 4 to 5 things coming out. Uh, excuse me, while I take a sip of coffee. Um, but no, just just a lot of end of the year 2023 movie news. Obviously, it was a strange but a big year. Also, I heard that Margot Robbie is actually taking a break from acting after her success with Barbie. Obviously, she was the biggest actress in the world at that moment, and is very renowned for her roles. So I mean, she's taking a break. I'm sure she'll be back. Somebody that I kind of hope to see as a surprise for the Oscars or whatever is Zac Efron in his role in the Iron Claw. I heard the Iron Claw is phenomenal, and I feel like that Zac Efron really shows his acting chops in that. Apparently, he did phenomenal, and a lot of people think he should have been nominated for something, but it might have came out too late in the year for him to get nominated or something. I don't know exactly how that works, but that's another movie everybody should check out. Um, but yeah, just a lot of rambling and stuff going on right now, honestly. Just, ended of 2023 year news and a lot of stuff to look forward to in 2024. A lot of things around the corner. Some things are getting pushed up, some things are getting pushed back. I think Planet of the Apes also got pushed up 2 weeks. Godzilla vs. Kong, I was telling my brother, got pushed up as well. I believe some things got pushed back. I think we're getting a lot of trailers during the Super Bowl. A lot of people are speculating we're gonna get a Deadpool 3 trailer, and if we do, that's gonna be very big for everybody. I think Deadpool 3 is probably gonna be the highest grossing Marvel movie of 2024 and one of the highest grossing of all time in terms of Marvel superhero for sure. Um, so expect that. Echo is out. Check that out. I heard it is pretty mediocre, but I have heard there is good action towards it. And the actress that plays Maya Lopez is pretty impressive. Kingpin is nice as always. I didn't really hear much about Daredevil. I don't know. I'm behind on every Marvel show. I'll be behind on this one. I'll catch up eventually, but excuse me. Definitely check that out and excuse my cough.
I
Um,
also saw that apparently I seen a couple like behind the scene clips for Echo, and apparently they do a very good job of I don't I don't remember the specific indigenous nation that the character is supposed to be a part of, or the actress herself is a part of, but they tend to take care to have a lot of detail and historical accuracy, like into honoring the nation and its culture. Um, so I've seen a couple of those clips on TikToks. I mean, that's always a plus. That's always a good sign, when it comes to, even though the TV show is only 5 episodes, the fact that they took the time and care to like, make sure that, all their populations and their cultures are represented in like such a short uh show is a good start for Marvel, definitely in 2024. And I mean, you always love to see that representation at its truest form when it's done right. So, that's obviously definitely appreciated. And I've only seen like one clip from the show. Um, I know I mean, it's probably not even a spoiler by now because it's been all over the social media, but there is a small little fight scene between Daredevil and Echo. But that was shown in the trailer. So I mean, he was
mhm.
shown to make an appearance in the trailer. So that's not really much of a spoiler. But I actually really haven't heard too many people talking about it, to be honest. So maybe I'm just on the wrong side of TikTok or social media, or like my brother said, it's just kind of mediocre to start with. But like I said, I definitely plan on checking it out. I'm actually kind of taking like more of a nostalgia trip back down Marvel lane, and I'm focusing very heavily on the X-Men right now. So I'm watching the classic '90s cartoon that came out for the X-Men, which is also on Disney Plus. It's pretty cool. Because they're making it was rumored to come out this year, but they're making a continuation of that show. Everybody's been labeling it as X-Men '97. So there's been a couple like Funko Pops and obviously Lego sets that have came out because of that. I don't know when it's officially going to release, but it's basically going to be a continuation of that show because basically the show itself, for those of you that watched the episode that I did last week on the X-Men, the show itself stopped in 1996. So basically, because it's a continuation of the show, they're calling it X-Men '97 because it's like a continuation of where it left off, right? So you figure technically, if we picked up where we left off, it'd be 1997, right? So. Hopefully, it kind of still has that same animation and art style because I mean the characters in that show look fantastic. So I'm just really excited to see how that plays out and everything. And yeah, but again, hats off to Marvel for just, really being, appropriate and, making sure they check all their boxes, with one of their first shows of the year. That's a really great sign. And hopefully that's, for better things to come. Speaking of Marvel, also, the season 2 of What If finished up last year, so before the new year. In my opinion, I think it was a little bit better than the first one. I liked the first season, but I think the second season had a lot more depth to it, and I think it focused on some really cool characters. There was a whole episode about Hela. Um, there was one about Nebula. Um, what were some of my favorite ones? There was one about Iron Man,
I
and
think there's
it
one
focused
about
focused heavily on Captain Carter. So they brought back
yeah, I
some of
heard
the
about
season
that.
one What If characters. So they kind of did like a continuation of the story, which was pretty cool.
I also heard there was this other woman who was like very powerful. I
Yes.
don't know if she was
Speak
Marvels or something.
and it was, I believe she was a part of the um she was an indigenous woman. I can't remember the character's name, but
Hmm.
it was basically like a what if scenario of like what if the I believe Tesseract like landed on Earth and like she obtained like the Tesseract's powers basically. Um, so like her and her like native tribe like became like kind of like superhuman abilities and stuff like that. It was a really cool episode. It was like one of
Pretty
my
cool.
favorite episodes. Um, and I don't remember her name, but again, that's just very very proud of Marvel for and that whole episode was in that native language.
Oh, really?
So that was a really well
Like,
done job by Marvel to show that inclusion and that diversity. And it was handled so well. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I loved how the whole episode was just in that native tongue, and they didn't speak. They either spoke that native tongue or they spoke Spanish because obviously they showed like Spanish explorers and conquistadors and stuff like that. So they only spoke Spanish or that native language. So I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. They only spoke English like in the very end of the episode, but obviously you'll see why.
mhm.
Um, so again, super cool. The finale was really good, well done, and pretty cool. They brought back like Supreme Strange. Obviously, they brought back Captain Carter. So I think those are really the only two like what if characters from the first season that they brought back. Oh, actually, no, that's a lie because in the last episode they
Infinity
brought back.
Ultron back or like Killmonger with
Yeah,
the.
that was kind of like the last episode. It was really like an all out kind of like Easter egg type, like the last episode was like pretty phenomenal. But they did bring back some of those like characters from the first What If season. Um, so I thought for Marvel 2023, I thought they kind of ended off on a pretty high note. I mean this is just my personal experience, but I really enjoyed What If season 2. I didn't think I was, but I actually ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I was, which was really cool. And yeah, no, just props to Marvel for being diverse and inclusive and off to a pretty good start this year so far. So I think Marvel is going to be on more the quieter foot this year. I mean, if the finale of the Spider-Verse movie comes out this year, I mean, even though it's Marvel, it's not like it's like Marvel, but it's not like MCU Marvel.
Yeah.
And then again, even if Deadpool comes out, I mean, I don't know if he's considered part of the MCU yet, or if
This
it's just
should
like
be his
Marvel.
first introduction into the MCU. I don't know if
Yeah,
he's going to interact with any MCU characters
yeah,
or if he's just gonna be there, somehow.
But I think
Or
regardless, I think Marvel as a whole, whether it's the MCU or just Marvel, I think is going to have a really good year, especially like I said with Deadpool 3 and possibly the finale of the Spider-Verse trilogy coming out. I mean, come on. I mean, it's going to be like a great year um for Marvel. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that in there since you reminded me of it.
yeah, I mean, I gotta say, it's actually really interesting because something, especially since we both do have our, degrees in history, and it's actually a conversation I had in one of my professor's classes that I had with my professor about, she's a medieval history professor, and she does not watch movies or anything. And I remember we had a conversation when The Northman came out, and she said that's like one of the few times she went to the movies and watched it, and she's like, this shit makes no sense. She's like, there were some things that were right, but she was analyzing the whole thing, and we had a discussion on is accuracy in these historical movies important? Because a lot of people's exposure to characters, cultures, whatever it is, maybe a Marvel show, maybe a movie. Anybody might know nothing about indigenous people and see the character of Maya Lopez, and that's their introduction. Or they may watch that episode of What If and be like, oh my goodness, like, huh? Or they may have even the conquistadors, if you said they're in the background. That's just, is that an accurate representation? So it kind of, and I would love to do an episode on it, but the question was, is accuracy important? And the class kind of was split. I said it is. I said at the end of the day, though, a lot of these movies are kind of turned to be more entertaining. They can't all be all accurate, but there are some very specific moments in history that are very interesting. And if you can keep it accurate, because you see some movies, whether it is a historical movie or even take The Martian or Interstellar, probably two of the most popular space movies of all time. I believe both those directors actually contacted astrophysicists, biologists, and what all the smart people out there, and said, "Does this make sense? Can this work or something?" And they made sense to a certain point, but then there were things that they would have to switch to obviously make it happen. But I think it's great. Long story short, I think it is important that they definitely do their homework, and like you said, they did.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important, and it's nice that Marvel is kind of starting to introduce on this path, because whether or not they center around a character like Maya Lopez, it is always nice to see fresh new characters in the MCU. People honestly, I'm tired of all the same, and honestly, I'm not as big into the MCU as I used to be a couple of years ago. I think my MCU hype kind of died down. But I'm glad that they're creating these little stories such as What If, or a smaller series about Echo, or maybe more of these TV specials such as Werewolf by Night. I think those are some of Marvel's smartest decisions they could possibly make. Also, I can't believe uh, I can't believe neither of us mentioned this yet. Mando and Grogu are heading to the big screen.
Yeah, well, I was gonna bring that up later, like when we started talking about Star Wars.
Okay, erase that, go back. But what I wanted to say, elsewhere, is just a couple more things in pop culture and media that's going on. So I think Stranger Things 5 has started, Stranger Things season 5, sorry, has started filming again. People are upset because I think one of the popular characters from season 4 isn't confirmed to be in it. I don't think season 5 is going to be as popular because I think it seems like a lot of the actors and actresses don't want to be there anymore. Only like two of the actors looked excited to actually be there.
I think it's kind of one of those shows where they're just starting to run out of material,
Hmm.
and it's just like there's only so much you can do with the story that you've created for that show, and you have to wrap it up at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if season 5 was like the end.
Yeah, I
You know
mean,
what I
I
mean?
think
Because
I think
I
it
don't
was
know.
that
Have you
last
watched
season.
Stranger Things?
Huh?
Have you watched Stranger Things?
I've watched like up to season like I think the beginning of season 3, and I
All right.
stopped. I went on
I
a
mean, yeah,
binge and then
I
I
watched
stopped.
all the way through it, and I watched the latest season. I watched like season 4 when I think Grandma and Poopa went on vacation. And I loved it. I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, I know it was very, popular, very memed, of course, with like Eddie and the song. I mean, the that scene with the song is amazing. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like spectacular. Um, But based on where it leaves off, you kind of can come to the conclusion that like this is possibly going to be the last season because again, there's not much
They're
story to write.
they're old too. The actors, the
Yeah,
actresses, they're too old.
yeah, and again, I mean, they started doing this as kids. I mean, they don't want their whole careers being tied to one TV show. They want to be able to branch out and explore other projects.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think, for example, Millie Bobby Brown, we know she's got a career after this. I believe the guy that plays Finn, like the one with the longer hair, he
Mhm.
has, some sort of smaller career. The Caleb something his name, who I think plays Lucas, he's actually in a documentary film about 21 Savage. He's in another film right now, so he's actually kind of getting more popular. Noah Schnapp, I think, has no career after Stranger Things. He doesn't seem to be a popular actor and stuff. And the rest of them seem like they're actually going to go on to do stuff. Um, I know the Gatson, I don't know his last name, but he actually started on Broadway. Very talented actor on the stage and on TV and movies and stuff. He'll continue. So I think we'll see no more of Noah Snap after Stranger Things. And the rest of them, hopefully, we see them grow more in their careers afterwards. That would be nice, especially since they're younger actresses. I know Sadie Sink was in The Whale, and that was a very acclaimed film last year, um, for sure. But we also have some. I know Sony released some of their logos. A lot of people are talking that Venom 3 was just literally Venom 3 with like a red 3. So a lot of people are like, oh, what's it about? Who's in it? Blah, blah, blah. Nobody knows. Um, I think they released a couple of other logos for like their other, projects, but they're really just regular logos. There's nothing crazy about them. Apparently, Madam Web, their like full costumes or suits, spider suits, got leaked. Honestly, I don't hate the suits, but the look just looks very fake. It doesn't look like they're actually wearing the suit. It looks like the suit is.
Some people have argued or came up with the argument that like when watching the trailer, they thought it was like fan made. Like that's how well like the CGI, the animation looks. Like they thought it was like fan made at first, and then when they found out it was an actual movie, they're like, oh.
I'm going in optimistic
I'm
because
going
again,
in and I'm
it's
turning my
a
brain off.
Spider-Man
That is how I'm gonna be watching this film. I'm gonna go into the theater and I'm gonna turn my brain off and I'm just gonna watch it from like a pure visual standpoint. And then probably after that, I'll go back and I'll process it as like a critic and I'll be like, all right, let me see if my opinion has changed.
Yeah, because again, like Sony's got this and Craven the Hunter coming out too. I don't know how Craven the Hunter is. Actually, I think
And I think it's a good thing that these movies are not associated with the MCU because I mean, if you have projects like I mean, obviously, Spider-Verse is not associated with the MCU, but I mean, if MCU, like, if the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, has a banging year, right? Like, say what you want about Echo, but say, like, overall has a pretty positive review, right? And then you have Deadpool 3, and that, like, knocks it out of the park, right? And then you have all these other Marvel projects like Sony and everything like that, and say those projects do poorly. Um, it might persuade these studios maybe to like not do as many Marvel projects anymore, or maybe give Disney more of that control. It's going to be interesting because like you don't want to think that like the Sony Marvel franchise and like the Disney Marvel franchise are like competing against each other, but in reality, they kind of are, because they're each releasing their own characters and their own Marvel stuff that, it's kind of interesting to keep track of. I mean, obviously, we all love our beloved Spider-Man, Andrew and Toby from the Sony universe. Obviously, those movies were phenomenal. And I believe, was Venom part of the Sony universe?
Venom is Sony, yeah. So that
Yeah,
they're because it's a Spider-Man, property. That's what Sony
right.
does. So that's why it's all those random
Yeah, so I mean,
characters,
the
you know.
projects for Sony have not been that bad so far.
No,
But obviously, with Craven and Madam Web, I mean, it's up in the air. Like I said, we can go to the theater. These films can be absolutely phenomenal, but the way they look right now, like based on the trailers and what we've seen for it, it's very 50-50 to be honest.
yeah, I mean, like the problem with Sony is they know Spider-Man is such a popular property, but like they're not gonna make a standalone Spider-Man film because of what is going on in the Marvel universe. So they're like, okay, let me take these random characters like Morbius and Venom, which has been more successful in my opinion, Craven, Madam Web, and then throw so we get our Spider-Man, stuff out of it because people are gonna come see it because they're like, oh, Spider-Man, So it is very interesting to see where they're gonna go, and I have hopes for both of them. I think Craven is gonna be very similar to a Morbius. Honestly, I didn't hate Morbius. Um, would I
Oh, I
consider it
totally
a
forgot
movie?
about Morbius.
Yeah, would I consider it a good movie? No, I would consider it okay. Honestly, get rid of the end credit and it would have been better for me. I
What was the
actually
end
kind of
credit?
it's like it's literally a random field, and Morbius as just regular Jared Leto's leaning up against the car, and then you have Vulture swoop in and being like, so I don't know how I got here because it was when like the blip or whatever happened, so he ended up in Morbius's universe, and he's like,
Oh, right. Okay.
I don't know how I got here, but I think it has something to do with Spider-Man. And Morbius is like, interesting. And they're like, we should team up. And it just like cuts.
I've
And I'm like,
seen I've seen the movie, but I just totally forgot about it, to be honest.
I
I
mean,
mean, it was
a
one of
lot of
those
people are
movies where
thinking
like
like,
I watched it
oh,
in the
okay.
theater, but then like I just didn't want to watch it again. You know what I
A lot
mean?
of people are thinking Morbius, Venom, Craven. They're setting up like their own Sinister Six, but like it's not gonna happen. And
Right.
also, Morbius came out when like what's his name? The guy that was in House of Dragon and Doctor Who,
Oh,
um,
yeah, I
Matt
just
Smith.
can't. Yeah, Matt Smith. Yes, yes.
Yeah, he was very popular, so I think it kind of helped too because he played like his. And honestly, I like their duo in that. But we're not here to talk about Morbius. Sorry to get on a tangent. Um, and what's it called? I believe that's it in terms of like all the random. I know this episode is not focused around what we've been talking about, but
Yeah.
there's just a lot of small stuff that I
Well, I
wanted to
mean,
mention first.
this episode, we're generally just kind of like talking about like news, like any updates that we've heard so far, like for the new year, and then obviously, we got some other stuff we're going to talk about,
So I
but I
do
mean,
have two last things. I'm sorry, I just
Mhm.
thought of it. So funny, this like today, El Muerto was supposed to be released by Sony. That was a failed movie. They were supposed to, the random Spider-Man villain that like wrestled Spider-Man once. That was supposed to be Bad Bunny, and it's actually funny because Bad Bunny made a music video with Spider-Man in it. I think basically like making fun of Sony. Um, I even if it released, I think it would have been another Morbius. I just wouldn't understand why they would have made it. I think it would have been nice to have representation in there. But I just don't think El Muerto would have been the correct character to do it because, no offense, I don't think you would have. I don't even think you would have one hardcore fan go to the movie theater like rooting for El Muerto. Like how like who have you ever seen or where have you ever seen stuff like that? So that would have been out today, and I would have been very interested to see how that would have played out, or because obviously, if he fights Spider-Man, I would assume in the movie he would have had to fight a Spider-Man, right? I wonder what Spider-Man it would have been or something. That would have been kind of cool.
Mhm.
And then last piece of news: James Gunn, I believe, is currently casting for Supergirl, and uh, Millie Alcock, the girl in the poster behind you, she's one of the runners for it amongst two other women. So she'd be a great fit.
I loved her in House of the Dragon. I thought
She's
she
pretty
was,
popular
yeah, I thought she
right
was great
now,
in
so
season one.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that. But expect to see that. Also, The Last of Us has been casting a lot of characters. I
Yes.
don't know if you've seen. They
Who
cast
just got
Abby.
cast? Who just got casted recently? Was it I think I'm totally off here, but it wasn't the girl that played oh God, what was her name in The Walking Dead? Judith. It wasn't the actress that played Judith, right?
No, they
No,
casted
it's
somebody to play at least love interest. They casted somebody, which I forget the character's name. Sorry. They casted somebody to play Abby, which she doesn't look bad, but they said there was a lot of
I could
actors.
see the face. I just can't remember what her name is.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. And then another actress who was just in, I think, Beef, the movie with Steven Yeun and the other
But I mean,
actress.
as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I'm pretty sure that
All the castings have been good. It seems like.
oh, speaking of Steven Yeun, did you hear that he backed out of his role in what movie was it was
Uh,
supposed to be?
it was Thunderbolts. He was supposed to be
Yeah.
playing Sentry, which is
So now
very
that
interesting.
movie's kind of like up in the air, or they have to like find someone like recast for that position.
He said he said scheduling conflicts,
Yeah,
but I'm
he had like
sure
some prior like arrangements and stuff like that, like already made with like other filming projects and stuff like that.
I'm very surprised he backed out. But I mean, he's popular enough where he gets plenty of roles. Great. It would have been great to see him in Marvel as well. But speaking of that as well, Pedro Pascal um, actually because I guess he's confirmed as Reed Richards in Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay. Is
He
it
had to
confirmed? I didn't know if it was like still a rumor or not.
I saw something where he had to move around his schedule to focus on Fantastic Four. So I mean, that's a good sign in a way, but he's gonna be busy if that Mando and Grogu movie is coming out whenever
Yeah.
it's coming out.
Well, I mean, I think, kind of returning to The Last of Us. I mean, I because I know it came out last year, I believe, but depending on how fast they were making a season two, I don't know if it's set to premiere this year or if it's set to premiere next year.
I
I
would
don't
say
know. I don't know if there's been
near next
any.
year.
I don't think there's been any like rumored dates or deadlines for like when it's supposed to come out. So I don't know if we have a definite answer. But returning back to House of the Dragon, the second season is slated for this summer, of 2024.
Really?
So if you have not watched the trailers came out. It looks phenomenal. There are a couple of Funko Pops that have already came out for it. That are available for it. It looks really cool. So I'm telling you this personally because I know you started and you almost finished the first season. So make sure you wrap it up before the summer, so that way you're all caught up for the for the second season.
I'm sad that we won't see more of Millie Alcock because I feel like she was one of the best parts of season one. But I love the second actress.
Yeah,
She's killing it
but
too.
I gotta be honest, like the actress that plays Allison Hightower, like the adult version of her, she is like absolutely
She's
fantastic.
great.
Like, watching these trailers, I'm just like going like full simp mode, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't care that you're on the other side. You're just like absolutely breathtaking. I just cannot believe like how well these characters like look or these actors and actresses look in their roles because I mean it just looks absolutely phenomenal and it looks like it's going to be like a great second season. So
Yeah,
it's
I
going to be
mean,
exciting.
but you know what I'm most interested to see in The Last of Us, like season two? How are they gonna like? It's gonna be very interesting for us. I feel like you to see Ellie, because I know the actress is probably will be around like what actual age Ellie is,
Mm.
like as a young adult. But like, is she gonna look the part? That's kind of
Yeah.
my concern because I feel like she doesn't look the part now. So
Yeah.
it's like how.
I think it's always a little bit more difficult for like a actress to age in a show versus like Pedro Pascal. Like all they have to do is just like give him like a little bit of like gray coloring, and like
Yeah.
he looks like an older version of
Oh
Joel.
God, won't spoil anything, but if you've seen the video games, what do you think that scene is gonna be like in?
Oh, it's gonna be heartbreaking. Like I mean, it's gonna
Oh, that's
be
gonna be.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I actually
It's
have to
going to
watch The
be
Last of
honestly, it's
Us.
going to be very interesting because a lot of people loved the first season because of Pedro Pascal. So I wonder how people are going to move into season two. Again, even though if they know what happens in the games, like how are they going to move forward by, let's just say maybe seeing less screen time of Pedro Pascal. I mean, I think the actress again, I don't know her name, but she did play a role in Game of Thrones, so that's where I first was introduced to her personally. And she fits Ellie to a T. Like she's a great casting for Ellie, but I just don't know if she can carry a whole show by herself. Like she needs to have like a really good supporting cast around her to keep people entertained for this second season. Hopefully the actress that was casted as Abby could do that because there are a lot of really cool scenes and parts of the second game that they could put into live action um for the second season, especially when Abby comes across the Rat King in the subway stations. Like, oh my God, like imagine that in live action. Like that would be absolutely terrifying. So
Right. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find, just so I could find the actresses and actors' names that could. Okay, this is. What are you? This is why I don't like clicking on things because it's just like all ads. Just so I because I feel like we both know like who these people are.
Like I've seen
Okay,
the
okay,
actress
hold on.
that is
Okay, I see
playing
the woman,
Abby.
and I see the man, and I see the other woman. Okay, so we have obviously Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. That's the girl that plays Ellie. Um, blah, 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 produce. Okay, so we have what is her name? We have Caitlin Denver as Abby.
Mhm.
Um, so she, let's see, she has been. I can't click on her name, but we have Caitlin Denver. I will look her up as Abby. We have Young Mazzino as Jesse, which looks very similar to the character. Great casting. And we have Isabella Merced as Dinah, which is Ellie's love interest.
Yeah, I think it's
So
Dina. Yeah, Dina sounds
okay,
right.
so
Yeah.
Caitlin Denver, she is 27. She has been in American Girl, Stand Strong. She was in an episode of Modern Family. She's been in a couple of TV shows. She was in Last Man Standing. Um, she
I think that's where I recognized her from. I think I
she's been in
recognized her
one
from
of
Last Man
Martin
Standing.
Scorsese's films. She so she has the look in terms of the face, but honestly, she gives me a little bit more feminine vibes. So I'm very curious
Yeah,
to see how she captures the strength of Abby, because we can
yeah, no, I
agree that
agree.
Abby's an absolute unit.
Yeah, yeah.
And her love interest, Isabella Merced, is 22. God fucking damn it! What am I doing with my life? Jesus, must be nice. Oh my God, she was Dora. Oh, she was Dora in the live action film.
Oh wow, yeah, that's gonna be yeah, okay. Yeah, she has a real nice love interest there.
And she was in a couple of other things, but I'm sure you guys can picture what Dora looks like in the
That's
live action
pretty
film.
interesting because if I remember correctly, I thought her love interest was more on like the like Indian side, so I
She has a very
because she kind of looked, I
mixed
mean,
like skin tone, so
yeah,
it will work out. You know,
yeah,
I'm sure that there's a certain quality to her in terms of her audition or personality that they probably thought she would, or maybe she screen tested with Bella and they were like, oh, these two fit together chemistry wise. So I mean, either way, The Last of Us, it was popular season one. I feel like season two will, but again, I'm very curious to see how good Bella Ramsey's acting, muscles are, because she's going to be carrying a lot of the show. Even though she probably did a huge part in season one, we can all agree that Joel and Pedro Pascal had his moments as probably the main part of that series so far. So
yeah.
interested to definitely see how that goes. And I think that's the last piece of movie news I
Yeah.
got, and I think I'm
I
ready
mean,
to jump
I think
into
before we roll into the second half of this episode and just talk about Star Wars, there's just a couple little bits of anime news I want to cover.
Excuse me.
Yeah, sure. There's just a couple little bits of like anime news that like I want to cover because I mean my brother hasn't really been too heavy into the anime game recently, so he hasn't watched as much as I have. Um, but from what I have watched, there's been some pretty good things. Obviously, towards the end of the year, for those of you that, didn't know, I don't know how you didn't know, but for those of you that, lived under a rock, the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen finished up. So that is all set and done and wrapped up in a nice little bow. So I believe we have to wait until next year, I believe, for the third season. So it's gonna be a long wait, but it's gonna be worth it because they're getting into a lot of more heavy material going into the third season. Obviously, if you've seen the clips or if you watched it yourself, the second season was absolutely phenomenal for Jujutsu Kaisen. So if you have not watched it, or if you just have not watched the show, in itself, I would highly suggest you do so because it is definitely amazing. um, Other than that, I mean, we have a pretty decent lineup this year for anime starting off, for 2024. We there's a anime called Mashal. It's Mashule. For those of you that know of it and have watched it, and for those of you that don't know, basically it is as if Black Clover met Harry Potter, and pretty much it takes place in a kind of like Harry Potter style universe where everybody's born with magic. And depending on like how many marks you have on your face dictates like how much magic you have. And the main character named Mash, basically he was born with no magic, So, excuse me. He was born with no magic, so he was unique in that trait where he didn't have any abilities. But to compensate for that, he just constantly worked out, and he's just like super strong and like has like super human agility and speed and strength and everything. So basically, these people find out that he has no magic. They go to his house. They threaten his family. He defeats the guys who come to his house, and the guy is basically like, "All right, I'll leave you alone if you can go to one of these top magic schools and become what they called like the divine visionary, which is basically like the best in the school."
His
So he's like, "If you
wings
can
that
become
were
the best in the
adopted.
school with no magic, then I'll leave you alone." So he was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." So basically, it's just about him going to this school and trying to become this divine missionary with no magic. It's very comedic. It's very like more of a kind of like a turn your brain off and watch show because it is really funny. Um, he loves cream puffs, which is like super funny. And sometimes he has like the personality of a brick wall, and then like other times he doesn't. So it's like super hilarious. And the opener for season two, because the first season was like 13 episodes, and the second season just aired I think last week. And the opener for season two is an absolute banger. I mean, we were listening to it before we started recording, and we were like dancing our asses off because it was just like it's like it's been like all over TikTok. Like it's just so out of left field that like all of a sudden they're just like, you know what, this is gonna be our opener, and then like they just decided to go with this like absolute banger of a melody. So really good. So check that out if you haven't checked that out already. We have one of our first new animes that have came out this year so far. It is called Solo Leveling. It just came out like I think last week, so it's only like an episode in. To give you the rundown of that one, basically one day a bunch of magic portals just started opening up like around the world, and like these magic creatures started to come out of it. And because of that, there were these people that were gifted these like magical powers, pretty much. And depending on how strong you are, you're like ranked like by letter. And the guy that we follow so far in the anime, I think is like a E rank, so he's like one of like the lowest ranks you could possibly be for like magical power. Um, and it seems kind of interesting. I know the manga is very popular and people really enjoy reading that. I never really heard of it, to be honest, before I started watching it because obviously I don't read too much manga because I just have nowhere to display them, so I just don't buy them. Um, so I usually am like an anime watch first, and then I go back and I read the manga. So far the episode, I mean, the first episode, it looks pretty promising. So I'm excited to see where that's gonna go. And then obviously we have a couple of other animes slated for this year. We have another new anime coming out called Kaiju Number Eight, which looks really promising. We have some other animes that are returning. I believe the time I was reincarnated as a slime, I think is getting its third season. That was really fun, like Ikusai type of anime. Um, I believe the next arc of Chainsaw Man is getting its own movie, which would be pretty cool. I think the same could be said for Demon Slayer. I believe the Hashira training arc is getting its own movie. It's not going to be episodes. I think it's going to be a movie. Because I think it's too short to be episodes. So I think they're going to make it like a movie. Um,
That's cool.
and then what else? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty that I'm forgetting, but yeah, there's a lot of good animes that are slated for this year. So just be on the watch out for you anime lovers. And speaking of one that we both watched that we both love, obviously, if you guys haven't heard, there's an anime on Netflix called Record of Ragnarok, and it is absolutely one of the most fun things to watch if you are a history and mythology nerd.
Yeah.
I feel like they wrapped up their second season like last year, but I'm not sure when they plan on production like for their third season.
It's
So I
supposed
don't
to
know if
come
that's
out this year, I believe I saw.
Oh, okay. So if it's supposed to come out this year, just be on the lookout for that because it looks like they're going to be getting into some like, really interesting fights. So check that out if you haven't. It's been really good.
Excuse me.
But yeah. I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, I'm sure there's a lot that I didn't cover with the anime, but that's the ones that I know off the top of my head. Um, so a lot to look forward to. So this seems like it's going to be a pretty good year for anime. Um, and yeah. So.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out, and a lot of news to talk
Yeah,
about, and obviously we've definitely been talking about it for. Oh dang, yeah, we've been talking about news for a while.
yeah.
But good segue into it. You know what is a genre or a spec of movies that
Star
don't
Wars,
really get
Star Wars,
interesting
Star Wars,
or what?
Star Wars.
I do like Star Wars. But one of the most popular versions of a character is actually featured through a Lego movie. Lego Batman is actually, a lot of people say, one of the best versions of Batman, believe it or not, through Lego movie. Obviously, we have the Lego movie and the Lego movie 2. Both fantastic movies, and there's actually a couple of good messages in both of them. Um, this kind of segues towards what we're talking about today, which is this is where insert what you're going to say.
No, we are talking about Lego. Well, I mean, the main point of this episode was going to be Lego Star Wars, but we decided to make it like just like a mashup of like other
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I
Um,
know. Like,
so
we were talking about stuff when
yeah,
movies
yeah,
and
no, yeah,
shows. So
yeah,
we're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing that up, my dear brother, because we're going to be talking about Star Wars and more specifically Lego Star Wars for the
Yes.
rest of the episode because that is what we were going to cover today. I want
Yeah.
to start with the news because there's a couple of things of news that we should kind of cover first, just to kind of uh have people stay up to date. So I want to start off by talking about something that has been on my mind lately that I wanted to get your opinion about. Um, so obviously, for those of you that do not know, obviously there are a couple of Star Wars movies that are slated for the next couple of years. We have the Dawn of the Jedi movie, which is going to be focusing on possibly the first Force users and maybe the first Jedi, which it sounds like a very interesting concept. Obviously, we have Dave Filoni's Mandoverse movie, which has been titled The Heir to the Empire, which obviously everybody's looking forward to. Um, and then we finally have the Ray movie that is going to be directed by some sort of female director. I can't remember her name, but it's supposed to take place like 15 years after the sequel trilogy. It's supposed to focus on like her. Um, and I don't know if we have too much of the plot yet. From what I've heard, whether these sources are true or not, it's going to be about like her trying to refound and rebuild the Jedi Order. And I think there's like some sort of conflict going on between like two of her students, and I think that's kind of like what the movie's about. I don't know if that's 100% true. If it is, it sounds boring as shit. So hopefully it's not. But my real problem is basically about this Ray movie, and it's not about Ray the character because I love Ray and I would love to see her back on the big screen, but it's who's directing the movie. So um
I
I,
know where
I
you're
I don't
going
I
with
don't know
this.
her name. Do me a favor and Google what her name is so we could talk about her properly.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a more complicated name, so I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Yes, I believe she's a Pakistani woman. Okay. This should be her name. So her name is Sharmeen Obadad Shinoy. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. But she is a activist and documentarian, I believe Pakistani woman. Let me click on the link. Um, do do do. From this little summary, it is saying the story set 15 years after Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. The movie will focus on the chaos within the newly established Jedi Order as the galaxy questions the relevance of the Jedi. Obadiah Chinoy's unique perspective as a documentarian activist may bring a fresh perspective to the franchise. Obadiah Chinoy's previous work includes the documentaries on acid attacks and honor killings and has had a significant impact, earning her awards and recognition despite claims of controversy. Her enthusiasm and background make her a promising addition to Star Wars team. This is what Screen Rant is saying about the movie and the director. So as far as I know, this director, a lot of her documentary work takes place in the Middle East, and I believe that is because of her Palestinian background. And apparently, one of her award-winning films is her 2015 film "A Girl and a River: The Price of Forgiveness." And this is about the honor killings that take place in the Middle East. So she is an acclaimed award-winning female director, but a lot of people, there have been a lot of controversy around her regarding interviews and stuff that have been going around.
Right. Which is, I mean, which is what I was going to
Yeah. So,
kind
but
of get into.
that's the woman's name. That's a little bit of her
Right.
background.
So it seems like the premise for the movie is pretty much, what I thought it was going to be. Obviously somehow, Rey decided to rebuild the Jedi Order, even though Luke told her that it was time for the Jedi Order to end, but she just totally disregarded that, I guess.
Yeah.
And obviously seems like people are questioning why there's Jedi, which kind of doesn't make too much sense to me because there haven't been technically Jedi in the galaxy for a couple of decades now. So I don't know why, but anyway, I digress.
Mhm.
So there was a recent interview that came out with her a while ago that was kind of circulating around TikTok, and I don't know if you ever saw it, but basically
Yes.
she was sitting at like a panel with like these other women, and I believe a guy, and I think the guy asked her basically how she would approach a franchise, or a universe like Star Wars, where over the years it has had a more of a patriarchal stance with its characters and especially its fandom. As probably if you looked at the percentages, probably most of the percentages of fans of Star Wars are going to be guys. That is just how it is.
Okay.
There are
Everyone,
female
everyone is
fans.
yeah,
Yeah, there
male.
are female fans out there, of course, and obviously we appreciate like every female fan. Uh, I'm not taking away from the other sex, but again, predominantly you're going to be looking at percentages, and most of the fans are going to be male versus
Mhm.
female. That being said, the guy basically asked her how she was going to navigate a universe or a concept where most of the movies have focused, strong male characters, and kind of like reinforced this like patriarchy. Even though we know, obviously, through the years of Star Wars, from 1970, all the way up to the present day, there have been some very strong and very powerful independent female characters in
Mhm.
Star Wars. I mean, we could name like a whole list, like
I would
front to
argue,
back, and
even in
even
more
more.
recent years, there's been a lot more strong female
Yeah.
characters
I
featured
mean,
in the
from
Star
the
Wars
original
universe
trilogy, like all the way up to the
across
sequel
everything.
trilogy. Yeah.
I'm sorry, say again?
I mean, from the original trilogy that
Oh,
came out in
yeah,
the 1970s, like
all the trilogies.
all the way to the most recent
Mhm.
project of Ahsoka. I mean, hello. I mean, Ahsoka, obviously,
Ahsoka has
very
become one of
prominent
the
female
most famous
characters.
and popular Star Wars characters out there.
Right, exactly. Keeping that all in mind, after
Mhm.
he asked her the question, basically she was like, "Well, I like to make men uncomfortable. I like to really make men uncomfortable." So basically she was along the lines of saying, I like to make men feel uncomfortable. I really enjoy it. I want to give Star Wars a fresh new look, give it some strong female identity and characters and girl power. And that is what my movie's gonna be. And obviously that's very concerning and that's very heartbreaking to hear because she's basically telling the whole Star Wars community, anybody that's a guy, is hey, you sitting across the screen right there. Yes, you, the one in your chair right now. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you right there. Yeah, hi. You are a guy. So you are probably gonna go see this movie because you like Star Wars.
Of course, definitely.
But I'm going to make you extremely uncomfortable the whole entire time because you are a guy, and
Okay.
I'm not gonna be concerned about what you like or what you feel at all because you are a
Okay.
guy.
So there are two things about this that are very interesting. So that interview, I don't I don't know. I've seen a couple of things like where a lot of people are saying it's recent and a lot of people are saying it's from a interview she did around her documentary. I think it was a recent interview and they spoke about one of her documentaries. And she talks about obviously she is an activist and I'm sure she leans towards a feminist side because of her background and stuff. Which I don't blame her for if she's from the Middle East, but she was talking. She likes to make men feel uncomfortable. I know definitely in regards because of her documentaries. But even if that's true, it is concerning considering that she is openly saying that, especially knowing what she's directing. If it's an old clip, maybe I can't necessarily say anything. Maybe she never thought she would direct such a big franchise, but regardless of that, this movie isn't going to be like what Barbie was. Barbie, and I think Greta Gerwig is an amazing director and great in her message. Um, in exactly what Barbie was. And a lot of people will say like a lot of guys didn't get Barbie, and that's because it was not made for guys. It was made for women and young girls out there. But Star Wars is made for everyone. Star Wars is a property and a franchise that is beloved by both guys and girls, men and women, and everybody alike. And I know it is more male centered, of course. But again, we have to look at, especially again, we look at recent years, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, even I'm sorry, what's it called? We go all the way back to Carrie Fisher. Even though it was a little different than the original trilogy, but we go to Padme and we just go to some more of the animated characters in the Clone Wars, or we go back to these live action shows, and we've had so many strong female characters that just aren't a sexual object or aren't a background character. No, we have focus on Bo-Katan. We have Ahsoka being essentially the future of Star Wars at this point. We have all of this, and you know, I I'm glad that she is proud of her work. Everybody should be proud of her work. But again, your goal in your directing for this movie, you're not making a documentary about the horrors that take place in other places in the world. This isn't a documentary. This is a movie about a fictional universe that people enjoy. And you know how the last movies were perceived for Star Wars. You know how Rey was perceived as a character. Now, why would you want to take Rey, a character that people hate? I would say 75% of the Star Wars fandom probably does not like Rey. I hope they don't hate Daisy Ridley because it's not on her. You shouldn't hate any actress or actor, by the way, even if their character sucks. That's not right. But they don't like Rey because of how her character was done. I like Rey. I don't have a problem with Rey. Excuse me, with Rey. I'm excited to see this movie. Did I think it was gonna happen? No. But I'm excited to always see Star Wars, right? But if you go and you are clearly leaning in this direction, you're not sending the right message, in my opinion, to either side of your audiences. I don't even if you made it more women centered and you had more female characters, it's fine. You want to have more female characters, and maybe that's the direction you want to go. That's cool. But if you have one subliminal message, you know that you're going to create a big divide in the Star Wars fandom, and the Star Wars fandom is already a mess on its own. Again, this is not like I mentioned Barbie because it was probably one of the most recent impactful movies for young girls and women, especially young girls. I think it's so nice what Greta Gerwig did. But again, Barbie and Star Wars are two very different things. Star Wars is a very different property and franchise opposed to Barbie. And if I'm sorry, let me try to pronounce her name. If Charmin Obadad Chinoy, and I'm sorry if I didn't say that correctly, if her goal is to just strictly make somebody else feel uncomfortable, I don't think that direction style is going to be successful, especially that she has a documentary only directing background. I don't even know how well she's going to do in terms of actual directing. And I know a lot of people say, oh, she's just directing them. Yeah, she is. But again, a lot of directors are the ones that do make a big difference in a film. And if she hasn't directed something like, again, Star Wars cannot be taken lightly. You cannot give a property such as Star Wars to somebody that unfortunately does not have the experience. For example, regardless of how you thought J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson did, both very accredited and acclaimed directors that have dealt in big projects. This woman, she is a documentarist. This is not Nomadland, um, an award-winning, uh, Oscar-winning film, and the woman who, what is her name? She directed Eternals. It makes sense why she went towards that property
Chloe
because it was
Zhao.
an award-winning thing, and that was a what?
Chloe Zhao.
Yes, Chloe Zhao. And she has directed, big, that was more of a, actual movie. That was a popular movie. It wasn't, even though it was a documentary, and she directed other stuff. Again, this woman has only directed documentaries solely focusing on the Middle East. That is very different compared to the Star Wars universe. So overall, regardless of the background of the interview, whether it's old, whether it's new, whatever the question was pertaining to, Unfortunately, I feel like if she has the mindset, or if anybody had the mindset going in wanting to purposely harm the other side of who is watching and who is the audience, I don't think the movie's going to be successful. I want to see Ray redeem her character. I don't really care necessarily how she looks or anything like that. I just want to see a better ending for Ray than we got previously. I don't think we're going to see any of the other characters from the sequels. If we do, I'd be very, very, very surprised. But regardless of your new characters introducing whatever, again, as much as politics and a lot of other stuff get into movies and film and TV, unfortunately, if you start bringing in certain messages and certain things where your goal is to do this, then your movie's not successful and your movie really isn't going to be entertaining or even fun to watch. So I mean, again, I know I kind of went on a ramble about it, and I don't want to talk bad about the director because maybe she has a good vision and a good idea. But with what I've seen and what I've heard about her right now, it seems like she knows how to direct documentaries, and she obviously does her work, and she's very, she feels very strong towards what happens in the Middle East, which is very important. But again, I'm very surprised that they went with her to direct this movie. I don't know if she came to them. Because it's completely left field. It's like, why would you take a, a first time, I would say, director in that sense? You give them a big budget. Again, like something I've told you, and I don't know if I mentioned on this podcast, is John Carter, one of Disney's biggest flops of all time, which was supposed to be one of their biggest new things, failed because they hired a director who all he did was documentaries, and he had no idea what to do with this giant budget. You give her a freaking $300 million budget because I'm sure that's what Star Wars, costs or whatever. I don't, you know, I don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know what's gonna happen, especially when you give it around the character such as Rey. Again, the sequels is a very touchy, group of movies for a lot of people, and it didn't end on a good note. And bringing back the soul center character, one of the soul center characters of that franchise, and trying to either redeem her or start something new, you really got to be smart about it. And unfortunately, I don't think that's what they're doing right now. I don't, I have very low hopes about it, unfortunately, um, for the reasons I kind of just listed.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a very valid point. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss it because it is very concerning. I mean, again, I don't know what Star Wars is thinking when they take someone that doesn't have any experience in any sci-fi or fantasy genres, or just has directed movies very similar to that style, and they're
Hmm.
like, you know what, we're gonna hire this random Pakistani, award-winning, documentary director to make a Star Wars project. And I mean, I just do not understand what is going on inside their heads, to be honest, when they decide to pull the trigger on that. And again, I mean, how does she approach a genre like this where she might not know anything not only about Rey and who she is, but about Star Wars in general?
Hmm.
So how are you supposed to dive into this character when there's already been a whole trilogy about her? And you just kind of have to pick up 15 years after that trilogy. I think that's why, like, they're kind of giving her that like 15-year grace period to be like, okay, it's been, almost a decade and a half since the events of the sequels. So this is kind of like a new, fresh take on Rey. So you don't really need to worry about too much of the history. But I don't know. I mean, again, I really, at the end of the day, I like the sequels. I do.
Yeah, I do
They get
too.
a lot of unnecessary hate, and it is a shame that people do not hold them in such high regard as the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy. However, this Rey movie could be a redeeming quality for her. This
Mhm.
movie can come out, we could watch this and be like, you know what, this was fantastic. This saved the sequel trilogy. This really put a cherry on top for Rey as a character. This really solidified her development. And I'm looking forward to whatever they do next. You can walk out of the theater feeling like that. Or you can walk out of the theater being like, you know what, I couldn't even finish the movie because this was just absolutely disgraceful and this was just terrible and I hated every second of it. Um, So it honestly can go both ways. I don't think there's going to be an in between with this movie. I don't think people are going to be like, "Oh, it's okay." I think they're either going to love it or they're going to hate it.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't see the director dropping out. I know directors have dropped out in the past, of a film if they've done that, but I truly believe that a property as big as Star Wars, take Star Wars, take DC, take Marvel, take Harry Potter, take any of those big properties. You need a director who knows the franchise, knows some of the characters, and actually cares and want it. You have to really study what you're doing to truly give your audience the best thing possible. Why do you think James Gunn and Peter Safran are some of the best choices to run DC? You've seen how good James Gunn is with these superhero characters, and that man loves DC. Zack Snyder loved DC, regardless of how you feel about his other movies. Everybody knows that his version of the Justice League was infinitely better than what we got at first, and it's because this man loves the characters. These directors love the characters. Even Ryan Johnson and what's his name? What was the other guy I said?
J.J.
Uh,
Abrams.
yeah, they like the characters. They know the characters. They're fans of it. I highly doubt she is a fan of it. Maybe she is. I don't know. But regardless, with these big properties, whether you have a talented director behind it, I'm sure you can't take Martin Scorsese and put him and tell him direct a Star Wars movie. That man, I'm sure, does not like Star Wars or loves it as much as somebody else that maybe grew up watching the originals. You really have to take somebody that enjoys this property to take care of it, because at the end of the day, it's what you have to do. Why do you think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are so good in Star Wars? These men, they know Star Wars. They love Star Wars. They have both said it. It's their babies at this point. So I have hope, because rebellion's always built on hope. But, um, unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be a redemption for Rey. I think they're going to try and start something. I think their goal is to get a trilogy out of this, or some sort of show or more things out of this one movie. I highly doubt it. I feel I don't know how you can just bring back Rey and not include anything else from the sequels. You know, Pretty much Adam Driver confirmed he's most likely not going to be coming back as Kylo Ren. I don't think he's set to. I don't think John Boyega would ever come back. I don't think Oscar Isaac would ever come back. And who knows what will go on with the First Order, any of the other actors and actresses around. So let's see. Maybe we'll get like teaser images or a script leak or a plot leak or something like that can give us hope. But again, guys, we're curious about this. And again, this is no shame or anything towards the director. I applaud her for directing things in the Middle East. That is a very touchy subject, and obviously, it means a lot to her, considering her background and apparently from the small stuff I read. Obviously, she is talented in showing stories like this, but unfortunately, I don't think she's going to excel in this area. She may shoot it in a beautiful way where it's visually stunning and stuff, like other movies have been made out there, but the plot and the direction might be terrible just because of her lack of experience and maybe her feelings towards, certain characters or certain groups of people. But, best of luck to her. And I hope, they picked, a good choice and she proves us wrong. But until then, we will see, and we are eager to hear you guys' opinions. Do you think people that direct these big franchises should care about them? Do you think no? If they think somebody's talented enough, they think somebody's talented enough. I'm very curious to see how they even came up with her specifically. Did they pick a list of like just things they enjoy? Like, it's a very, again, she's a documentary filmmaker. She's not a regular filmmaker. So it's like, how did you land on a documentary filmmaker? Opposed to somebody that has directed films before, whether they're big budget or not. So I'm
Mhm.
very curious to see how they landed on that, and I would like to hear about it. Um, but I mean, again, I do like the sequels, and I hope, it kind of helps people's views on the sequels a little more. But I don't know. I do not know really in that regard. So
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. I mean, unfortunately, we're just gonna have to wait and see. I'm sure there'll probably be other stuff coming out for it as it gets closer to its release date, but I don't think it's slated until like 2026. So I don't think we have to worry about it too much. Um, so yeah, but just something to keep track of, something to think of. Obviously, for the future of Star Wars. As they start to branch away from the Skywalker saga, they've been saying that for a couple of years, and somehow they just keep bringing the characters back from the Skywalker saga. So
it's
I
funny
don't know
about
what
it.
they're going to be doing. Um,
Oh my God, it's so
there's a few more
true.
things I want to cover, like news wise, but we can kind of just like briefly talk about them and move on. Obviously, recent announcements have confirmed that the Mandalorian and Grogu are coming to the big screen in this, terms of a movie. So that would be really exciting. I don't know. I don't think there's any release date. I don't even know if who's directing it.
Jon
Um,
Favreau.
John Favreau, perfect. Okay, so it's going to be a banger, obviously. So if they play their cards right, it should come out before Dave Filoni's movie because it's probably going to tie into the
Really?
well, it's probably going to tie into the whole Mandoverse. So
So something that I heard
you think the
is
movie would come out like, before then, so they can kind of tie in all those characters together before the movie.
that's true because a lot of people are saying they're gonna turn whatever season of I guess the next season of Mandalorian into a movie.
Yeah,
Um, I wonder if they went that way because of maybe how season three was received. But it was not confirmed or denied if there was going to be another season of The Mandalorian. I
right.
would assume we're probably not, considering they're getting their own movie and there's going to be another movie featuring Mando and Grogu again. So we'll have two movies featuring those characters, which is insane to me. I would have never thought we would have actually seen The Mandalorian on the big screen.
Mm.
So I'm excited and I'm curious to see, because if it's like a season, is it going to be like a 2.5, 3 hour movie? I would love that. The longer the better for me. And this is this would probably be the first Star Wars movie on the big screen since Rise of Skywalker. I
Yeah,
would
pretty
think,
much.
right?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me that between that time there's been nothing, and the only thing that we'll get is this Mando and Grogu movie and then Dave Filoni. So I'm very excited. Maybe we'll see some characters again like Ahsoka and stuff, or something like that. But I am very excited now that they're kind of being more ambitious and actually bringing Star Wars to the big screen.
What?
Sorry, you just reaction was like,
Oh yeah, well, I think someone just walked in the door. Yeah.
oh.
They're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, whatever." Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I mean that's really exciting. I mean, I was happy when I heard that news. And I mean, kind of going along those lines of the Mandoverse, Ahsoka has been slated and started production for season 2.
Oh, really? I didn't actually
So
see that.
yeah, so
Oh,
I don't think it's
wonderful.
confirmed on like what exactly the story is going to be, how long it's going to be. But you just
Right.
kind of assume that it's going to obviously continue that storyline and kind of work its way towards the Dave Filoni movie eventually, obviously, which is kind of the whole point of these shows kind of converging on one path.
Hmm.
Um, so real excited. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of storylines to kind of work with there. So we'll see what they do with that. Obviously got a lot of high hopes for that. And finally, this is more of a rumor. Nothing's been confirmed, but because of the success that Disney Plus had with Marvel and their What If TV show, it is very possible that there might be some rumors rumbling about Star Wars getting their own What If um, series, which obviously everybody would freak out about. Everybody was always wanted in What If Star Wars, and this
Yeah.
concept is going to be explored a little bit in a few minutes when we start talking about the Lego sets, because there's a really cool Lego set that's coming out that kind of borderlines that like what if scenario.
Hmm.
So I mean, I think if you're all set, I mean, I think we could just start diving into some of these Lego sets that are coming out in the summer.
Can I just say
Hmm.
that it is so wonderful that one, regardless of what Star Wars news there is, that I feel like we're seeing a comeback of Star Wars media back, like besides on shows. And like again, Ahsoka was so hyped, and I felt like so many people were talking about it, and it ended, and I heard nothing about Star Wars until the stuff about the director for Ray came out, and now again we're getting news about We had the news about Dave Filoni coming out. Jon Favreau's directing this Mando and Grogu movie. We're getting the Dave Filoni movie. I mean, come on! Like the next 2 to 4 years, I feel like is gonna be so great for Star Wars. You know, just with all the stuff coming out, it's gonna feel like it's gonna feel like 2016 to 2019 Marvel. I feel so. I'm very excited for that, and of course, with new properties and movies and shows, comes Funko Pops and Legos and all this other collectible stuff, and that's what we're gonna get into right now. So,
Yeah.
I'll continue with your statement, sir.
Cool. Okay. So I've seen the leaks that came out recently for the Lego Star Wars summer sets. My brother has not, so this will be kind of interesting to hear
Yeah, I
his
have not.
reactions.
Yeah. When
Um
did you see this?
it just actually leaked like yesterday. So like kind of like
Oh, yeah, I have not
like
seen it.
yesterday evening, kind of, so it's
Wonderful.
very very recent. I'll send you the YouTube link after we finish recording to where it was leaked. But yeah, I'm just curious to see your reactions. Okay, so I think when I checked earlier, we had about one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, about eight sets that were expected for the summer 2024 Lego Star Wars line. So we're gonna start with
Hold on. So has there been pictures like leaked?
there
Like
hasn't been any
set
pictures leaked.
number?
There hasn't been any pictures leaked. I mean, anybody talking about it on YouTube was just kind of used like their own imagination and came up with some concept art, but there's been
Okay.
no official pictures leaked yet. Just the name and whatever. Um, so the first one we have 75383, and that is going to be um Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator.
Again, really?
hmm
You know what's
So
wonderful about that?
is that you already have it?
I have it, so that means that one might go up in value because of the new one.
hmm
Um, that's very interesting because one, I wonder if it's going to be like the same size or like bigger or smaller.
hmm
Because it came with,
It's
Maul,
rumored to come
Qui-Gon.
with Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, Padme, and then Padme's head security guard,
That's cool.
Panaka, I believe.
That's cool. Hmm. So, so I
Because
feel like
it
it's
was
going to be
rumored that we were
similar.
getting it was rumored that we were getting a Darth Maul figure this year for obviously the anniversary of the Phantom Menace and whatnot. Some people thought it would come in a brickhead, some people thought it would come in like a different set, maybe like a diorama set. But it seems like, however, it's coming in the Sith Infiltrator. Now, his ship is a very unique design. I personally am not
Beautiful.
like, like yay, but it will be interesting when it like finally gets leaked and like it hits shelves, like how nice it looks. I think if it's more on like the miniature scale, I might think about picking it up. But if it's gonna be
Mhm.
like a behemoth of a size that it was, like the one that that you have, I might pass on that because that's just obviously ginormous, and I don't have the I don't have the display for that, the display space for that.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I
but
mean,
yeah, but that's the first one that has been leaked for the summer.
that is very very. I would not see that coming. I mean the other one is probably from what 2015, 2016, if not, somewhere around there. I don't think it's any newer than that. So I mean,
Mhm.
it has been a couple of years, and I think it's a popular ship. I think the last time we saw it was a microfighter. Probably after the big one released. So that's
Yeah,
very. I did not expect that at all.
yeah,
So a new version of Qui-Gon is definitely, wanted and needed, and same with Maul. I mean, it's just they could probably do
yeah.
something with them for him and Padme, of course.
Oh yeah, of course, for sure.
And
Yeah,
Nick
so
Offer, he's a cool guy, so I mean, I'd be
yeah,
excited
yeah,
to see
it
him.
looks like a
And
pretty
he's not in a
cool
lot of sets.
thing.
He's only in like two or three, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
that's the first one. The second one, that is obviously rumored and confirmed, is the 75385 Battle on Peridia set.
Battle on Perudia.
Peridia is the planet that they discover in the Ahsoka show.
Oh,
So we don't know what the base build of the set is going to be, but it is rumored to have an Ahsoka Tano minifigure with the white robes.
oh,
We're gonna get a adult version of Ezra as a minifigure. We're going to be getting a Thrawn minifigure. We're going to be getting a Captain Enoch minifigure, and we're going to be getting a Night Sister Morgan Elsbeth figure.
So I wonder if this would be. I don't see this being a small set. If you're getting those characters, and like 5 figures, I see it being like an $80 to $100 set, and I see it being. I don't see it being his ship. Maybe it'll be like
Well,
the
it's
inside of the
already been
temple.
confirmed that like it's not his Chimera or it's not
So
like a Star Destroyer or
maybe
anything.
it'll be like the inside of his temple, or like I don't know, because if it's like a battle scene, we really didn't see Enoch fight. So I think they threw him in there though because like he's a cool character and he looks
Oh
cool.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Um, I don't know if it would be. I don't. It wouldn't be a ship. I'm very curious to see what it would look like. I honestly think the build is probably not going to be that interesting. I think this is going to be geared more towards the minifigures.
Right, exactly. I
But
mean,
I'm very curious to
especially
see
because
what
I
they
think
come
this
up with.
set is like rumored to be only like $40-$50.
Oh, if that's the
Um,
case, then it's not
so
going to
for
be.
that price point, like this is going to be a minifigure heavy collection
Oh
build.
yeah,
I
the
mean, the
minifigures are going
build
to
is going
take
to be
that
like
set.
very mid probably. But people are going to be obviously grabbing it for that Thrawn minifig. Honestly, for that
Uh-huh.
Thrawn minifig, to be honest, because we haven't gotten a Thrawn since the Star Wars Rebels line came out for Lego.
Mhm.
So it's definitely been a hot minute. But yeah, so that one is definitely going to be a purchase for like more of like the minifigure sake, because obviously there's a lot of prominent minifigures coming out in that set. They all are very cool. Even like Morgan Elsbeth. I mean, I think we've already gotten one, but I mean, she has a new face print, so this is probably gonna be like when she becomes like a full-fledged Night Sister, which will be really cool. Ahsoka with the white robes obviously seems fantastic. An updated Ezra figure, because obviously the only ones that we've gotten are him as a kid. So obviously a more adult version of Ezra. That's gonna look super cool. They're probably going to do like a custom helmet print for Enoch, so that will be really
Mhm.
cool to see what they do. It'll be interesting how they kind of model Thrawn. I wonder if they're going to like update his minifig or if they're going to kind of do the same style for his minifig. So that will be interesting to see. But yeah, but that is the fourth technically fourth Ahsoka set that we've gotten since the show was came out. So we see that this show, is starting to get very popular when it comes to its Lego sets. I mean, I wouldn't say this is the last set that we're probably going to get. I mean, I think we're going to probably get a couple more, down the line. But yeah, I think I'm a little disappointed because it would have been really nice to get Thrawn's Chimera, unless they're saving that for like maybe like a fall Lego, or maybe like next year when like there's nothing really going on for Lego. Maybe they're gonna introduce the Chimera. But I mean, getting that Thrawn minifigure for like half the price, I mean, is obviously a steal. So I mean, that's gonna be really good.
Yeah, I don't see them not doing the Chimera because I feel like they know people are gonna pick it up. I don't know how big they would make it. If they make it the size of like previous, regular play scale ones, with today's prices, it'd probably be about $200, somewhere around there. Um, but again, it would be so cool just because of his design. And I wonder how they would do it to display it because of the design underneath. I wonder if they would kind of have it where you could angle it so you could see like the underneath of it, but not have it
Yeah.
like just looking up or something. So that'd be cool. That'll be cool.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next set. So this one is very interesting. I don't think you'll be expecting this at all, to be honest. So this is the 75388 rumored set. Now I will tell you it is a starfighter. Okay.
Okay.
And not only
Better not be like a remake of
not
like.
only is it a starfighter, but it's also a Jedi starfighter.
Okay.
Okay. And who I'm about to tell you is gonna blow your mind. Okay.
Okay, well, if it's not anybody that we've, like, because we get Anakin's, we
And
get
I'm gonna be
Obi-Wan's, we
honest.
get Yoda's.
I'm gonna be honest. Whatever you're thinking, it's not what you're thinking.
Okay, well, if it's a Jedi, I couldn't tell you because I don't even know, like, what prominent Jedis, like, really were, had their starfighters, like,
Right.
featured heavily.
So this Jedi starfighter is belonging to a character that we've only seen in minifigure form once. Jedi Bob is getting his own Jedi Starfighter.
Okay, no, it's not.
I
No,
swear
it's
to
not.
God, I swear to God on my life, Jedi Bob has been confirmed in his own Jedi Starfighter coming out in the
Jedi
summer of
Bob isn't
2024.
even like. So they're gonna give a random minifigure that has gone down in history as Jedi Bob his own Starfighter.
Yeah.
And you know how many people would probably pick that up? Oh my god.
Hello. I mean, hi. I'm one of them.
I wonder what it would
And
look
not only
like.
that, but his minifigure is going to be printed in that same yellow color that it was back in like the early 2000s.
I wonder if it'll be like an
And it's
anniversary
rumored
set.
that his set is going to have a second minifigure, so we could possibly be getting his classic yellow version, and they could possibly do an updated skin color one of Jedi
That'll
Bob
be
as
very
well.
cool. That'll be very cool.
And for those of you that don't know who Jedi Bob is, he was a unnamed Jedi that came out in like one of the first Republic gunship sets back in like the early 2000s, and they just named him Jedi Bob. Or I don't know if the fandom named him Jedi Bob or his actual
I think the
name was
fandom
Bob.
named him Jedi Bob
Um,
because he was
and
just
he
a
went down to
Jedi.
history as Jedi Bob because he was the only unnamed Jedi that ever came out in any Star Wars Lego set ever.
That's so
And
funny.
the
I can't
community
believe
named him
it.
Jedi Bob, and obviously his minifigure only came out once, so he is very expensive and very hard to come by. And the community has always wanted more lore on who Bob is and where he comes from. And Lego has heard our prayers, and they are giving us a brand new Starfighter that belongs to Bob. So that is
Lego.
probably the best news that I've heard for this year so far, and that is a day one immediate purchase for me because I think Jedi Starfighters are really cool. I think their designs are really nice in Lego form. I think they need to start coming back. Obviously, we've seen the Obi-Wan one that came out. We've seen Yoda, so it seems like they're starting to bring out some Starfighters. Give me give me an updated Anakin one from the Clone Wars. Give me an updated Ahsoka one from the Clone Wars. I really hope they kind of continue this like Starfighter line because it is really well done, especially because it's nice and like small and sleek and just like has like a lot of color to it. I'm looking forward to it. We don't know what colors his Starfighter is going to be or whatever, or what his astromech is. But yeah, so that's probably one of the most exciting sets to come out of this news recently.
I cannot believe Lego will be putting out that when I'm sorry, but I want Lego to make more Clone Wars and Bad Batch sets. I mean, we got what, two Bad Batch sets, and one of them was the Justifier or something. Like, come on, man. Like, I love Jedi Bob, and I'm so glad that they are doing something like that because I feel like now they actually are listening. But you got to continue to listen and give us more. Again, instead of making this, another rebuild of something else, like let's make a new set as
Mhm.
well. And maybe it's on this list. I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it
Well, I
yet.
mean,
So
technically, I mean, like the Starfighter is a newer build, even though it's having a returning minifig. And Jedi Bob was kind of introduced in the Clone Wars era line of Legos, so this is kind of Clone Wars-ish. Um, but with season 3 of the Bad Batch coming out this year, I mean, you never know. I mean, they're definitely going to be making some more Lego sets for that. So I think you're probably going to get your wish when it comes to Lego Star Wars Bad Batch. So don't you worry, brother. They'll make some new sets for it.
that would be great.
Okay, let's see. All right. The next one after that, we have set 75389. Now, this is the interesting one. This is the one that I told you kind of like bordered across that what if line of Star Wars. And I promise, I swear to God right now, like cross my heart, this is a real set. Like I'm not pulling your leg when I say this. They are making a Dark Side Millennium Falcon.
That no that
It is going to
what
have dark Ray. Okay, it is going to have a redeemed Darth Vader in like an all white armor.
what
It
no
is going to have a
way.
dark Chewbacca. It's going to have a dark C3PO,
You saying?
and it's going to have a Gungan with like a blue outfit.
Oh my. Okay, first of all, this sounds really freaking cool. And that would probably be one of my favorite sets of all time if they actually did this, because even the minifigures themselves sound sick. A Dark Millennium. I mean, okay, so then what if Star Wars shows got to be confirmed? Because no way they would just like let's take the Millennium Falcon and let's make it dark. Let's make an emo Millennium Falcon. Let's throw these random, these versions. Um, this is rumored for next year.
This is a rumor for this year, for this summer.
Shit. So I don't know, man. I'm I'm
I'm telling you,
excited.
I'm telling you now, brother, you better make some space in your apartment. I mean, you got a couple of months, to find a nice little spot for it.
Jeez, like I gotta set aside a lot of money just for that. I mean, I'm slacking on the new sets. I haven't even bought the Ghost
Dude,
yet either.
Lego Star Wars is going to be very hot this year. I mean, not only is it the 20th anniversary of the Phantom Menace, but it is also the 25th anniversary of Lego Star Wars. Lego Star Wars has been around for a quarter of a century already. That might seem pretty low, but I mean, again, 25 years of Lego Star Wars. I mean, this is going to be the big, heavy hitter year of Lego Star Wars. I mean, if you are not picking up these sets, I mean, you are probably going to be missing out on a lot. I mean, obviously, January was pretty mild. I mean, we had the Clone Trooper Droid Super Battle Pack that came out. We also had a Young Jedi Adventure set in the Springhawk come out, and then obviously we had the AAT Polybag. I cannot find the Polybag anywhere. I have no idea who even has it in stock. I've seen the other two sets in stock, so but surprisingly, I haven't seen them off the shelf. Like anywhere that I've gone, now that they're restocked and they're on the shelves, they're not flying off the shelves as fast as I thought
Yeah,
they were.
they're not gonna fly off the shelf. Like I don't think battle packs are gonna do that anymore because
Yeah,
Lego knows like how many people buy them.
yeah.
So I don't see it being a problem anymore in those terms.
But yeah, it seems like the heavy hitters are definitely going to be, the month of I forgot. Does the spring line of Lego come out in March or May?
I mean, May would make more sense, but like a part of me really wants to say March.
Yeah, I feel like it might be May because I think the summer sets come out in like August, I think.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of like one of our first like what if concepts, like like kind of like a dark side theme for the Millennium Falcon and some of the characters. Obviously, we have a kind of like a reversal with Darth Vader. We've seen plenty of concept art in him like all white armor, like being redeemed. So they're finally putting it into reality. So yeah, I mean that's obviously out of left field. I mean, when I heard that news and I like when my boss told me, I was like, yeah, I was like, you're pulling my leg. I was like, there's no way that's real. I was like, that is, and then sure enough, I mean, I watched M&R Productions, and I watched a couple other videos and other people confirming it, and I'm like, okay, I was like, all right, I guess this is real. I was like, this is happening.
I mean, just let's. If Star Wars does a what if, you know how many things they could do in terms of sets and collectibles. I mean, hell, they could do a what if episode and bring back like the original gunship, or some crap like that, or some badass clone, or like a different version of Captain Rex, or God, it's endless, endless. So that's great news. And I mean, so far I want to get all of these. Sith Infiltrator, I want to see what it looks like first.
Yeah.
But
Well, hey, I
that
mean, like
one
I said,
that's
you
for
got
sure.
about you got about 8 months to stockpile some money for these sets.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that more.
you got some prep
Crazy.
time here.
That is
Um,
crazy.
all right, I think we got just two more sets to cover. Oh no, we got. Oh no, okay, sorry, we got four more.
Yeah,
Um,
you not enough.
all right. The set after that is the 75393. This one's pretty simple. It's gonna be a TIE Fighter and X-Wing combo pack. So this
Mm,
is more as like a play set basically. Apparently you could take the wings off of the TIE Fighter and the X-Wing, you could like combine them. So you can make a TIE Fighter with like X-Wing wings, then you can make an X-Wing with TIE Fighter wings.
I mean that's cool, but
So it's
like,
definitely more of like a play feature, like made for
yeah,
kids. Obviously it's
cool
gonna come with a
concept.
couple of
I don't
minifigs.
hate it.
It's gonna come with like a TIE pilot. It's gonna come with an X-wing pilot. Astromech and so on and so forth. But um, that's more of like one of the more mellow ones of this lineup. Again, definitely made for kids. I'm not sure how the builds are gonna look. They might look a little interesting, but really nothing to kind of jump out for that one. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Trucking along here. The next one after that is 75396. This one is very interesting, kind of piggybacking off of that 40th anniversary from Return of the Jedi last year. We have a updated Escape from Sarlacc skiff coming to summer of 2024.
That would be pretty cool. But you know what
Yeah.
I actually kind of want to see that as? I kind of want to see that as like a diorama build. I
Hmm.
don't know why. I just feel like it would look very
Yeah.
cool as a diorama
So
build.
I happen to, I was lucky enough, I don't know how it came about it, but it's probably, thanks to my wonderful brother, but I happen to have one of the original skiffs from the Sarlacc pit. And I have actually all the minifigures for it. So it's like, it's an awesome set. It's a really cool, nice little build. Obviously, it's supposed to go with like, the Java sail barge that came out back in the early 2000s, which I also have. I just don't have any of the minifigures for it. So again, super cool sets. This one is rumored to have Han Solo as a minifigure, Chewbacca, Lando Calrissian, Boba Fett, and then I believe Luke Skywalker, and then maybe one or two more characters, maybe like some like skiff guards or like
The
maybe some of the
Marine.
aliens or whatever. Um, the only thing is that Boba Fett is not going to have his like cloth pauldron that like the first one did. It's going to be like the
Mhm.
same Boba Fett from like the mech that just came out recently, I think.
Interesting.
So that's a little interesting. I'm sure people will like update it, at their leisure, and they'll kind of like just customize it the way they want. But yeah, but I mean, I think that's somewhat confirming, one of the Legos that is rumored to come out with the fall lineup, which was a possible UCS version of Jabba's sail barge. I think if we're getting an updated Escape from the Sarlacc pit, we're probably getting an updated version of Jabba's sail barge.
Hmm.
So, any thoughts on that?
I mean, I definitely want to see another version of Java's Sail Barge, but I know Java's Sail Barge was like rumored for a UCS set, or it was like almost confirmed. Um, I mean, because of course everybody wants like an update of like Java, and like that's just such an iconic scene. But like I really feel like that would do so good in a diorama set, just because like they can make it cheaper in a way, and like include like Java and somebody else as like the minifigs for it. Um, I mean, again, Java Selvage is a big set, but it's so iconic, and that scene is so iconic, so it would make a great scene, even if it was like regular minifig size. So I mean, I'm excited for that. I mean, and again, it would be like 10 years since the last ones came out, so I mean, it is due for a change and more stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, we're almost through this list, though. Let's keep powering through here. All right, the final two. We got set number 75398. Um, we are going to be having a buildable C3PO that is supposed to be coming with a
I
C3PO minifig. And I think the reason for this is because obviously in the spring, I believe they're coming out with the buildable R2D2, that is going to have one of the very first 25th anniversary figs, and the anniversary fig is Darth Malgus, from the Old Republic.
hmm.
So I think because they're building the R2D2, obviously you can't have R2 without C3PO. So I think they're gonna, make this set as a way for people to collect both, because you really can't have one without the other. So I think it's gonna be really cool. I mean, I've seen some concept designs for it, and it looks pretty nice. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, it might be one of the first buildable characters that I pick up, to be honest. Because I
I
was
mean,
thinking about definitely picking up the R2, so I think if the C3PO looks nice, I'll probably pick him up as well.
I feel like C3PO is just a character that honestly like doesn't get a lot of love, and he is really cool. And I would like a version that he is buildable, but I don't see it being like super big. Like I don't see it
No.
being as big as the
And
Chewbacca.
it doesn't even
It
look like the
fits too well
R2
as a
is
buildable
gonna it
character.
doesn't even look like the R2 is gonna be super big as well. Like it looks like it's gonna be like an 18 plus, like maybe a couple of thousand figs. I mean, I don't think it'll be as big as the scale as like the UCS or like the other one that came out. I think it'll be a little bit smaller. Um,
Mhm.
Maybe the same size as like the Chewbacca that they made, for technically, actually, I guess it was made for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. Um, but maybe
I'm
it'll be
surprised
something.
they made it that big.
Yeah.
But that's
So I mean,
marketing.
it'll be interesting to see, what the scale is. But I mean, there's a lot of promise there. I mean, I think the droids don't get too much love, so it's nice to see them get a little bit of love. This season of Lego Star Wars. So. And
Yeah, I'm
last but not least,
definitely.
the final thing. There's no rumored set. There's no confirmed set, but there's a rumored set that this will be a part of. But we have a confirmed minifigure for the 25th anniversary of Lego Star Wars, and that is going to be Cal Kestis is coming as a
Oh,
anniversary figure for
that's
the
awesome.
25th anniversary. He is actually rumored to come out in a new like Death Star playset. I don't know if you ever seen the Death Stars with like the open interiors where they show like the different rooms and they show like the different scenes happening in the different
Like the
rooms.
big Death Stars.
Yeah, like something like
Oh, that'd
that.
be
Like I
so
think it's
annoying. Because
yeah,
who's
I
gonna
think it's
buy
I
that
don't know
just
if
to
it'll
get
be
it?
on that scale or if it'll be a little smaller. I think it might only have like $100 price point, so it might not be as big as maybe one of the older ones.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, he is rumored to be coming out in that set, but I don't think that set has been officially announced because I've heard rumors about it, but it wasn't on this list that I was reading, so I don't know if it's been confirmed or if this one's still a rumor. So,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was true. I mean, I know a lot of people have been asking for Cal Kestis, especially after the popularity of both his games. And I know a lot of people want to see more of the character, and there's really not much out there in terms of collecting things for him. Um, but it'd be a shame if it came in a big ass set like another Death Star.
yeah.
Um, but it'd be cool to see what he looked like, though. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we got a lot to look forward to, obviously, for the summer of 2024 when it comes to
I
Legos.
think
A lot
like
of big
half of them are
announcements.
very surprising.
Yeah, honestly, I was
I think
surprised when I
Jedi
heard
Bob
most
and
of it
that
too.
Dark Millennium Falcon. I mean, honestly, that would be one of the most
Those were the
interesting
two I was
sets I
surprised with the
have.
most, to be honest. Like, I was like, all right. Like, I was like, an Ahsoka set. I was like, that makes sense. I was like, Sith Infiltrator. I was like, that makes sense. But then I was like, wait, Jedi Bob. And I was like, wait,
Yeah,
Dark Side Millennium Falcon. I was like, what?
yeah. I was like, where did that get thrown in? I was like, how did they? They're like, okay, design. Okay, the Ahsoka show was popular, right? Okay, we're gonna remake this set. Have you ever heard of Jedi Bob? It's like I just imagine that guy at the end of the table. So you remember that guy? And then somebody's like, so what if we took the Millennium Falcon, right? But we made it black, so
It's like, what if we took the Millennium Falcon, but we made it edgy?
yeah, like it's gonna be very
Yeah.
cool to
And that
see. And
doesn't even
then
include the spring lineup. I mean, we could do a whole episode on that, but we got a ton of sets coming out in the spring. I mean, we got the 10 and 4 hallway scene with Darth Vader. We got the buildable R2D2. Again, we got like, a couple of things for Phantom Menace. We got obviously the mini scale. So I mean, we could do a whole episode on like, the rest of the Lego Star Wars leaks for this year. I think that would be pretty fun to talk about, but I think we'll just kind of stop here for tonight with just some of the most recent summer of 2024 leaks. Um, so yeah, but I mean that kind of wraps up our episode for today, guys. I mean this was pretty much like a general sit down chat, by the fire, kumbaya, type of episode, where we just kind of talked about a bunch of different news that came out for 2024, which I think is appropriate. I mean I think this is a good way to start off the 2024 season for us. I mean, just kind of talking about like news from all over all of our beloved franchises. I think we covered, a decent portion from each of the shows and franchises that we love. Obviously, we spent, a whole hour on Star Wars, but I mean, we spent the whole hour covering a bunch of other topics as well. So, I mean, I think we did a pretty good job as a beginning to the 2024 year. So we'll try to keep this nice and short and sweet so we could get out of here and get to bed. But again, thank you guys for coming out to another wonderful episode of Two Sons Podcast. This is the first official episode with the two of us for the new year. So for those of you who are listening, we hope that you are having we hope that you are having a happy and healthy beginning to the new year of 2024. Hopefully, you're keeping some of those resolutions, and the year has been kind to you so far. Let's just continue to work on ourselves and those resolutions, and make 2024 our year for not only the two of us, but for Two Sons Podcast and our family. So again, hopefully everybody's years are going pretty well so far. You could find us at Instagram, Twitter, well, I'm sorry, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Facebook at Two Sons Podcast. As with an O, not a U, because we are two brothers. So please follow us and like and comment on our videos. Look out for any updates and notifications when the videos are posted, because my dear brother does upload when the videos are posted on the stories and posts on the social media. So keep track of us that way, if you so please. Thank you very much. You could also find us on YouTube and TikTok at Two Sons YouTube, where I will post the updates of when the episodes come out on the YouTube. And then you can also watch us at your viewing pleasure on YouTube at Two Sons Podcast. Again, obviously I will update you guys when those come out as well. But with that being said, hopefully you guys have a great day, great afternoon, great evening, whatever you're doing. Please be safe. Please enjoy the start of the new year, and do not do anything stupid yet because I mean, obviously we just started. I mean, we're only 12 days in, people. Come on, don't do anything stupid. Um, but seriously, thank you guys coming out to another episode. It really means a lot. It was a lot of fun to sit down and talk again. We got some pretty nice episodes lined up for the rest of this year, so please stay tuned. It's going to be a very Star Wars heavy year, but there's also going to be some other episodes thrown in there as well. So just keep those notifications on. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, and yeah, just keep up to date and just love us and keep coming back for the episodes because we love you guys and you love us, and that's how this works. Um,
Exactly.
so, before we sign off and say Avida Sen, I will let my wonderful brother get his final words of wisdom in before we say goodbye on this wonderful Friday night of ours.
I just want to say that we are up to 66 episodes.
Wow, ain't
So
ain't ain't that special?
I
Wow. I
know,
mean,
right? I was just
what a
looking at
perfect
our
episode to talk about Star
I
Wars.
was just looking at our analytics because our analytics on Spotify have gone up, so I'm very happy about that. I checked out the YouTube the other day. We're getting pretty consistent views on our thing, so it seems like you guys are adapting more towards YouTube. So I'm very happy about that, and I'm very happy that our Spotify has gone back up. And again, we're both very just excited for this new year. There's a lot more content that we would like to put out. This is the year where we definitely will do our Star Wars breakdown of stuff. But there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about coming up. Expect to see maybe, more new stuff coming out, a little bit different content. Like once I get everything set up, I would love to show you guys. I mean, I got posters sitting over there, that I haven't, been able to hang up yet. But, I got a lot of stuff that'll be behind there, over there, and I'll show all of you guys because I'm still trying to figure out how I want to set it up. But I am very, very, very excited to start this new year and see what comes after it. But like my brother said, you can find us on several different media social platforms, such as Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, also known as X. Wanted to say X, but my mind went to Twitter and I couldn't spit it out. All under Two Sons Podcast. And a Sons with an O, not a U, because we are two brothers. Once again, we probably have a new logo coming soon. So thank you to our wonderful friend.
Yes,
I'm
I
sorry
did
that
speak to her
we,
today, and she is still working on it. So just please be patient, and it's gonna look really good when it's done. So, but
yes,
obviously people get busy and have stuff come up.
yes, and we
So
don't mean to be
obviously,
picky, but of course, like we care. I know she cares. So it'll be worth the wait, guys. Trust me.
Mhm.
Um, but with that being said, we will let all of you go. This actually ended up being a lot longer of an episode than we thought. But you know what? When we have these random episodes, where we do focus on one thing, but we just like to talk a lot about pop culture and news. I feel like that's what really makes a podcast kind of special because you can just talk about whatever, and it's kind of like you're on FaceTime with your audience. So, and once again, guys, please interact on these socials. It's a new year, new opportunity. We went a whole year without any interaction. Well, that's not true. But new year for a lot of new interaction. Wink, wink. Hope to see that, guys. Hope to see that. Because this is a very different year for both me and my brother. Especially for me, this is the first year I won't be at the movies, so it's a little strange to me. I'm kind of sad I'm missing out on some things, but I'm excited, for new things to come. So I'm excited to do this podcast in a year where I actually won't be behind the scenes, quote unquote, experiencing these things. I'll be experiencing it from the other side. But nonetheless, very excited, very happy to be back. Sorry about again. I know we don't stick to the same schedule like other people do, but again, we are full time students, full time workers. We do have lives. So, that stuff is important to us as well, but you guys are always important as well. So, we hope to get out as much as we possibly can, and we'll continue to do that. But with that being said, um, am I closing out this episode?
yeah,
Did you
sure,
say
go ahead,
anything?
do
All
your
right.
thing, brother.
So, with that being said, let me close out the episode. Let me wish everybody a happy, healthy, and a prosperous new year. I hope that whatever you guys hope for, whatever you guys wish for, you get. But remember, whatever you want to get, make sure to put in the work for it too. Because you put in the work, I'm sure you see the results. Whether that you want to lose weight, you want to get money, you want to get a new car, you want to live a better lifestyle, whatever it is, whatever you want to do, you want to build more Lego sets, anything and everything above the sun. Hope you guys get out and you get to do it. Let us know, maybe what your resolutions are, what you're excited for in this new year. What is your most anticipated movie of 2024? We got a whole nother year to look at movies. What are you looking forward to most in the Oscars? You think, Oppenheimer's gonna swim away with awards. You think Barbie's gonna win? You think they're gonna be in a race for awards? You think we're gonna have a surpriser? What's gonna go on? Are you guys excited for this new Star Wars stuff? Let us know your opinion down in the comments below. Also on the socials, again, please feel free to DM me or my brother or interact on YouTube. I mean, I know it's a very popular place to interact, so please do so. But once again, guys, Happy New Year. Have a safe, healthy, happy time in whatever you're doing. Enjoy the nice 3-day weekend coming up. Hopefully for our audience, all our audience out there. If not, just enjoy your weekend. And once again, guys, don't do anything stupid. Please be safe. Please be healthy. And since it's Star Wars themed, may the force be with you all.
May the force be with you guys.